शादी के बाद
शादी के बाद
बहुत अच्छा
बहुत अच्छा
लग रहा है.
लग रहा है. I think you asked me how I feel after the wedding.
Correct.
So, extremely happy. We have been waiting for that for, I don't know, 1-2 years. And we wanted to actually do it last year. So, we were waiting for this day for such a long time. So, very happy about the wedding and how everything turned out. The only thing which was not perfect was the weather. Otherwise, everything was exactly how we imagined. So, couldn't be happier.
Shrishta.
So हिंदी में he can say शादी के बाद बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है.
I will not be able to say that word.
शादी के बाद
शादी के बाद
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है.
लग रहा है.
Yes.
I will not be able to say that in one go, but
Okay, try once.
no.
शादी के बाद बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है.
Let's not do these.
No, but your Hindi is so cute when you say it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so natural.
it's so adorable.
You can say that.
So natural.
We'll practice that for next time.
Yeah.
Shrishta, tell me, life before marriage and after, what are the changes you find?
There are not many changes, just I feel more responsible and I feel more intimate with him. This whole feeling of being each other's, that he's mine and I am his, has intensified more. Otherwise, everything is the same. He is still the nice boyfriend, didn't turn into that annoying husband yet.
Yet.
Husband?
I don't know about that yet, but let's see. I think so far actually nothing much has changed. We just came back 3 days back, so let's see what the upcoming days bring. But I think she's right. It feels a little bit more intense, I would say. Of course, the surroundings have not changed, but yeah, the feelings, of course, are a little special now. Okay, so maybe regarding the wedding planning, maybe first, I think it's fair to say that without family help and especially my mom's help, it would have not been possible the way it turned out to be. A lot of things had to actually be or had to be taken care of, but for us it was slightly difficult from here. So it was slightly stressful, especially the last moments. I think a few things had to be changed because of the weather. We actually had a plan of having an outside, and then last minute we had to change the whole, at least the dinner scene inside. So these last minute things were somehow happening. Otherwise, it was well planned, thanks to the family, and yeah, that's how it turned out.
So of course, as Michael said, that we were waiting for this day for more than years now, like 2 years. So it had to be special, and the only reason why it turned out to be my dream wedding or his dream wedding is because of my mother-in-law and father-in-law. Like they both helped us so much,
Yeah.
including from my attire, which you just mentioned. So in March we were there in Germany for certain things like booking of the place, and then we had
Checking
a
the
meeting with
churches.
checking the churches. We had a meeting with the legal office. So these kind of small things, and suddenly I told my mother-in-law that I need to buy a dress here. So she took me to different boutiques, and finally we chose that outfit, which I felt that was exactly something I was imagining or dreaming of. Then obviously the decoration and the vibes and the whole feel, the mood was decided by us, the color palettes were decided by us, but how to put everything on right
Yeah.
place, including from the bouquets which were
Menu
used
cards,
for, menu
all these kind of
cards
small things. Somehow
were done by her.
Yeah.
And finally the evening when I reached there after our wedding from the church, so first we met at the church, we got married, and then we entered the venue. It was so perfect. I could just feel that, oh my god, all these dreamy films which I ever watched is actually happening in my life, like the Cinderella story is happening in my life.
So did you miss the Indian flag wedding, like, in shows also, and real life also, we do so
Was very different
much
now, yeah.
rituals.
Yeah, it is actually so different. So we always wanted it like this. We first once we discussed that should it be fusion wedding, and then we both had the same idea that no, let's enjoy the different traditions and different cultures
Yeah.
differently.
and don't dilute
Don't
them,
mix-
yeah.
It's
Because then it becomes somehow like neither the one nor the other. So we
Yeah.
wanted it to be special in their own way. So also The
yeah.
Indian traditions I'm not aware about, so I'm very much looking forward to. And of course, the German way was very different, so I think it's good the way it went.
Yeah, so exactly, like I absolutely dreamed my white wedding to be only the white wedding,
Yeah.
and then the Indian wedding where I already imagined myself to wear a sari and having different occasions like mehendi, haldi, sangeet. So those all things should fall in place, and similarly in the German wedding everything fell in place. We even did small traditions which are being done since centuries.
Oh yeah, we had to cut this wood.
Yeah, cut this wood after our wedding from the church. We came out and this whole log was there, and then
Like
they
a
gave
huge log like this.
huge log of wood.
And they gave us a small saw which was like this big.
Yeah.
And then
And
they
then
expect.
Rituals, something.
They have small rituals, like it's not like proper German tradition, but yeah, people do that sometimes. Like these,
And it has been
these
done for
small
centuries,
gags basically.
Like,
It-
yeah.
It was a
Small.
fun task, so they wanted us to cut or to saw the wood with this miniature saw, and then they slowly gave us a bigger one.
Bigger one, and together we have to cut it, and we did manage it in few
Eventually,
minutes. Then there was some also some puzzle where we have to cut it and make it in a shape of a heart. Then we had a blanket which we had to cut in a shape of a heart, and in between it was written Mr. and Mrs. So like these kind of
So these kind of small games, yeah.
games which we did. If it would have been a fusion thing, then I think everything would have got jumbled up and mixed.
Yeah.
So anyways, our cultures are twinning up together, and our cultures are submerging together, but the weddings need
Yeah.
to be done separately.
Exactly. I have no idea what I have
What
to
is
expect.
haldi? What is mehendi? All
So
the
she explained it to me
rituals.
many times, but
So
I have
many
not
times.
experienced it yet. So
He's
I'm.
so inquisitive about this whole thing that so many times I see on his phone he goes on Google search and looks for mehendi. What happens in haldi? Like these kind of Google searches. Yeah.
You do that?
So like she sometimes explains it to me, but then I like to see it in pictures. So we've done some research, or I found out that I have to wear some.
So yeah, in this Bengali wedding, you have to wear this thing called topor, like a crown kind of thing.
So
And
I was not
it's
aware,
quite
but yeah,
funny,
that's
yeah.
what I signed up for. Yeah.
That's what he signed up for.
So you're prepared for all these kurta pajama.
100%. And I think even my family is very excited. So they're all already asking what am I wearing, and so everyone's excited, and of course that includes me. So it's not what I usually wear, but I'm sure that would be fun.
They are like, honestly, just because we met the whole family right now in our German wedding, they are more excited than we are. They're like extremely excited to explore this new side of the other culture.
Yeah.
So, so he has seen pictures.
But I've not experienced it, so that would actually be my first real. I mean, I've been to an Indian wedding, but not the whole procedure from start to end.
It's beautiful. It's honestly unreal that I fell in love with him, but I actually love his family as well. So,
So sweet.
yeah, his mother-in-law, from her, I honestly get to learn so much. Even in some previous interviews of mine, I must have mentioned this. She's such a sorted lady that I look up to her and I get to learn so many things. There are days when I was little, all over the place because of the wedding thing, and then I just meet her the next morning and I feel a sense of calmness in me. So I think they are just beautiful. That could be the most perfect family I could have ever gotten. His sister is amazing. His brother-in-law is amazing. They have two beautiful kids. So yeah, it's a beautiful family.
Michael, what about you? How's your bond with Shriza's family?
So we know each other, of course, quite well already. I mean, my parents, for example, they stay in Germany, so they have met occasionally. But I had the chance to get to know them quite well over the years, and they have been staying in Bombay for the longest time. So we have been frequently meeting, and of course, for me, it's easy to learn about Indian culture and the way life works here. So that was a different angle. I, of course, learn every day from her, but from people from a different generation, of course, it has helped me a lot. And yeah.
So to this one thing I just remembered, like in Western culture, it never happens that the guy has to ask the girl's hand before to the dad. So I explained him this thing as because we were
No,
talking
people do
about,
that, but
as
it's not
because-
required.
It's not required. So as because we were talking about parents and things like that, So from our very initial meeting when we started getting very serious about each other, I told him that marriage is a very vital thing in India. And it is very auspicious, and every girl dream about it. Somehow हर लड़की के बचपन का सपना होता है कि शादी के दिन I'll look like this and look like that. So he understood the importance of marriage in my family, in my culture, and in my life. And then I told him that it would be very nice, if you can ask the time when he decided to.
So she didn't know.
Take it to a different level of marriage and things like that. So I just told him that, in India, in our culture, people sometimes do that the guy just goes to the dad first and asks for the girl's hand. It's respect for the parents. And he planned a dinner with my parents. He called them over, and so nicely he asked this to my dad.
You were not even part of it.
I was not even part of it. I got to know about it from my dad way later.
Okay.
That Michael.
But of course, and just to add on what I said earlier, but the way they've taken me, they have accepted me. Of course, I respect them for all that, right? So, and then of course I respect the traditions, like you have respected whatever we have done over there. So, it was out of question. So, it was a nice moment somehow. So it was between him and me. So I'll not say what we discussed. And I'm sure you don't know the whole thing, but it was important for me. So it was beautiful.
But yeah, my dad was quite touched, and later he told me that Michael asked your hand from me. So we met at a restaurant. He was there with his friends having dinner. I was there with 2-3 of my girlfriends having some food. And then I saw him sitting across our table, quite charming, quite handsome, and sharing some secret glances. I thought after a while that, there was a kind of game also happening on the table that, let's see if Srijita can actually go up to him and talk to him. It was a kind of challenge game. And finally I was like, fine. He is.
And then we kind of bumped into each other.
He is also looking at me, and I am also secretively sharing glances.
So I wanted to make it easy for her, and then,
we bumped into each other while going
coincidentally, of course.
Going to the restroom, and then we exchanged numbers. So it was sweet and nice, but then for a while we didn't speak to each other. Like, we exchanged numbers, but as Bombay life is, he got busy with his work, I got busy in my lives. After a month or so, I suddenly thought of texting him, and I dropped him a text, and in few minutes later, I got a reply back from him, and then we decided our second meeting, where from the real spark actually started.
Exactly.
And who proposed first?
So, I asked him.
I think that way she took the initiative, but then of course when it came to the next level, when it was about marriage, then it was on me. So I think we both did to a certain extent.
For parents, it was very easy. Like, even my parents, they wanted to meet him. Like my mom.
Quite early on, I think I met them.
After a few meetings, I already told her about him, that I really like this guy. And then I really like this guy. And then my mom was like, I would be interested in meeting Michael. So ghar pe she cooked some food for him.
And even my parents came quite early. I think they were visiting at that point of time. Like, after a few months of us seeing each other, they came and they also met her, like, from very early on, and they liked the girl. And
so parents wise, it was absolutely easy, but of course, like, I really like German food. Michael also enjoys Indian food, but he sometimes struggles with the food. Sometimes
I struggle with your spiciness level. That's my problem.
My spiciness level, because I eat extremely hot food.
But I do enjoy, like, it's it's good. But
traffic, like, so that's the beauty of two cultures, mixing with each other, that we are accepting each other's everything, every daily steps.
And I think we've learned from each other. Like, of course, there's good and bad things in all locations or anything.
All parts of the world.
All parts of the world have pros and cons. But even people have different kind of habits or different ways of seeing life. So I think a lot of good things have come together, I think. Like, I at least have learned a lot from him.
That's nice. Have you learned Bengali or Hindi?
No, she's trying for Bengali more than Hindi, I guess. I would prefer Hindi so that I can talk to you guys, but then I don't know. I think she actually doesn't want me to speak Bengali on the other hand, because then she would understand what she's talking about me to her mum. So I'm not really sure yet, but I have to learn it either or.
No, he understands. जैसे कि अभी तुमने हिंदी में उसको सवाल पूछा,
हाँ, समझा।
उसको समझ में आ गया.
I understand
So
a
he
bit,
understands.
yeah.
Speaking is the
Difficult, yes.
no problem. So recently, like the newly married or back to work, Bombay, no honeymoon, what like?
She's too busy.
Yeah, and he's too busy. He's
No,
the
we are
one
both
who-
busy, I would say.
Who couldn't take more leaves because he has to also save few leaves for the Indian wedding. We have
Yeah.
more plans coming up. So what we planned that the nice, beautiful, cozy honeymoon should be after the Indian wedding.
Yeah.
Maybe mehendi would be in my hands and I go to the honeymoon. Though we went for a very short trip to the Northern Sea after our wedding, just for 2 days. It was beautiful in
But
the
yeah.
nature.
Honeymoon has to
Honeymoon
has to
has
wait
to be
for a bit.
special.
Yeah, and we wanted to wait for something special. So we thought let's have a great Indian wedding, and afterwards it would just be me and her, and then we go somewhere nice.
So tell me about your Indian wedding plans. What is the plan? When it happening? And all this fantasy, kya hone wala hai? Indian media and everything. The media is very important, for wedding, perhaps.
Absolutely. Like the way when we landed and everybody called him Jijaji, I felt so happy. Like, badhai ho Jijaji, congratulations Jijaji. I felt so happy. So of course media is very important. So it's happening in November, first week. What we are
Yeah.
trying for. The location is we are in talks with. It will be a beach wedding. Hopefully the weather should be nice so that
So this time we want to make it completely outside.
have a nice beach wedding, outside area. All the 3 functions should be there, especially mehendi, sangeet, haldi and shadi. But would not be a fat Indian wedding with 1,000 people. We both are not. We are both quite intimate people. So we would like people who really matters to us, who really are really valuable to us, present in our wedding during that.
So it would be bigger than the
special
German one, but it would not be hundreds and hundreds of people. So selected people, but yeah, it would be special for us.